66th in the league, 14 catches, 61st in the league.
That's crazy.
Here's Sirianni.
AJ is very important to this football team. I know he wants to contribute. I know he wants to contribute and, do the things that he's capable of doing. I question nothing about, his desire to play great football, his desire of being a good teammate, his desire to be here.
Yeah. Okay. Should Eagles fans be worried about A.J. Brown?
Yeah, at least a little. I think they should be worried, and I think this is where I would put a little more on the plate of Jalen Hurts. And as not only team leader, but team quarterback, which is, it is a fair commentary on Jalen Hurts, the quarterback, that his biggest weakness as a passer is that intermediate over the middle. He does, stylistically, he has some similarities to late stage Russell Wilson. You know what I mean? Where it's a lot of like stuff short and in the flats and then deep passes, particularly down the sidelines. A.J. Brown excels in that area where Jalen is not great. And because of that, and because the team has been, they won, 20 out of 21 or 19 out of 20, whatever it is, they've been like, well, if he's not great at it and we don't need to do it, why do it? I think Jalen needs to advocate to do some more of that and to try to bring him back in, because I do think the Philadelphia Eagles, it is more incumbent on them to make sure A.J. Brown is firmly within the fold than it is to have the absolute ideal Week 5 game plan. Because I think they are playing for another championship, and it's so hard to do so. And also, as far as their ability to win that other championship, having teams be worried about, they'll throw to all quadrants. You know what I mean? We have to cover all routes, I think would help you against your best opponents down the road, because I don't think they're going to win every game the way they have the last 20. So that's what I think needs to happen, even if it seems a little unfair to Jalen, because he didn't ask for any of this.
So interesting watching the press conference, and it's such consistent language. So if you have a blow up with a player on the sideline, it's because he's passionate. And then if the guy starts saying stuff about the team, it's because he's so competitive. I don't question his it's all the stuff you have to say when you're going through this. And this isn't groundbreaking where you have a receiver who wants the ball and is unhappy about it and goes public. So I would imagine that you'll go to the offense coordinator like, okay, let's get him play 2 and play 5, or A.J. Brown plays, and you just figure out something that you can get him the ball to kind of pacify him in the first script. And then ideally in the start of the second half, okay, what are a couple A.J. Brown plays that we need to put in?
But Coach, they haven't done that. It's not like this is brand new. Like this popped up pretty early.
I get it, but at this point, he's last year the library book came out during the playoffs. Now we've got the tweet in week 4. So this is coming to a head a lot earlier, which we all could have predicted based off of his comments in the offseason as well. So you're gonna have to identify a couple A.J. Brown plays, and the rest of the offense will all kind of roll their eyes because they know what it is. And it's not that anybody disagrees how talented he is, but when you're putting together a game plan, you're ideally trying to beat whatever the coverage is, and you're trying to get to the best play. And then when you start having to accommodate for personalities, it can be a little bit disruptive. And when you're 4-0, the last thing you want is something that's disruptive.
Yeah, no, I agree with it. And I think, Nick, I agree with you on your assessment of Hurts. But when they need it, they can go in the intermediate.
It's really weird.
I totally agree that the offensive coordinator should open up the playbook a little more. But as far as A.J., he had 9 targets last week.
How many were catchable, though, bro?
Well, he wasn't open. Like, in the second half, pretty much none of them.
Yes.
Because he was covered. But Josh Allen is a prime example. When Stephon Diggs left, who was his best receiver, he got better because he wasn't preoccupied with, I got to get Steph the ball. And I'm not saying Dak was that way with CeeDee Lamb, but we just saw this weekend against Green Bay, when Dak doesn't have his best receiver, and he has a phenomenal game because he's probably just going to whoever the open guy is. A lot of times it was Pickens, But I just think you don't want your quarterback totally like feeling like I've got to get this guy the ball. And
It is
that
very disruptive. It's
So
disruptive.
can I push back on that though? Because if this feels different than, it's not like Devontae's and Dallas Goedert are having huge years, and AJ's frustrated because the passing offense is working. He's just getting iced out.
they're not throwing much.
There
or
have
they're
been
dinking and dunking.
there's 256 offensive halves of football played this year through 4 weeks. The 256th most productive and the 255th most productive are from a passing offensive this season, were the Eagles' first half 2 weeks ago and the Eagles' second half last week. This is a weird thing where, yes, they are winning, but the part of the offense that A.J. Brown is involved in is not working to a way the Titans are working. You know what I mean? Like every other team to have negative yards in the first half 2 weeks ago and 0 completions in the second half last week. It's not. So that's the point.
The run game isn't working.
The run game's not working
So,
anyway.
like,
You give
they're
the
winning
Eagles.
all these
This is where
games.
oddly, Sirianni deserves massive credit. Their special team's been great. Like, they're not turning the ball over. They're doing a lot of things that allow you to win games without passing the ball. But like, this isn't to me irrational for any player, much less a star receiver, to be like, guys, we had negative passing yards through a whole half 2 weeks ago, and last week we didn't complete a pass.
He should just be. He should, and maybe he's doing this, but he needs to be talking to the coaches, talking to Jalen privately.
But
Now, does he feel like I've been doing that for 2 years and nobody's hearing me, so I'm going to tweet something out?
But I promise you, like, we're not revealing this to the Philadelphia Eagles coaching staff. Like, they know there's problems, and they're trying to address those problems, and it hasn't been working. So it's not that by making this public, somehow it's going to draw their attention to the fact that they're trying. Do you think anybody in that building wants to have 0 passing yards or to have two of the most unproductive quarters of football?
I think it's the OC. I think that he's like, I don't know what's going on. I assume he's getting his feet wet just like any other team that's had a slow start. That's what I assume, Coach. And he's like, you know what, I'm going to unveil some interesting goal line stuff. I worked the whole week on like the fake tush push and the little shovel pass. And maybe this week, like, all right, now I'm going to look at A.J. Brown plays. I assume that's the personnel that changed. Jalen was there. Sirianni was there. Petula was there, but now he's in charge.
Well, in 22 and 23, A.J. Brown had great
monster years.
Great numbers with Jalen.
And collectively, like you said, the running game's not much is working, but there is an awareness in the building that it's not working. It's not like we're not springing it on them.
One piece of solace for A.J. Brown. You could be on the Bengals and Jamar Chase. Bengals lose to Denver behind a blah game from Jake Browning that saw the team outgained by over 350 yards, 9 straight punts, 9 total first downs, 2 tweets from Jamar Chase. First one, you better leave me alone. With some smiling emojis. And I play with passion. And it has the little tiger there and it says Houday. So do the Bengals need to make a move at QB or are we just still rolling with Browning?
Go ahead. I wouldn't give up on the season if I were Cincy.
That means make a move or don't make a move?
I would make a move.
Oh, okay.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I think not making a move is punting on the season. And now, I don't think the Steelers are a juggernaut, and we're talking about the Ravens, Lamar missing time. Like, it feels they gave themselves a bit of a grace period by winning those first 2 games. I personally would call Atlanta and see if Kirk Cousins, what it would cost to bring in Kirk Cousins. And we're not even, I would do that even if Joe Burrow was definitively out for the year. They seem to be holding out hope that maybe he could be back by December. And if that's the case.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, that's what the original reporting was 3 months. I don't buy that reporting, but regardless, I just think Browning had that great 8-game stretch 2 years ago. That doesn't seem to be anywhere close to the player he is now, and they're still in it. So I would prefer Cousins over Russ, and I would make a phone call.
I would prefer Cousins over Russ. And I agree. It's just too early to punt on the season and if you don't bring somebody else in and Browning continues to play this way, I think you might start losing players, Coach. Like they're just going to lose interest, and then maybe somebody can get hurt that way or whatever, and you don't want that. How about you're going to like this? And Russ, I would take Russ over Browning.
Here we go.
Call the Niners.
Oh, I
Mac
don't think
Jones.
I think the Niners.
I don't know if they
Trade their starting quarterback?
Yeah,
I mean, Mac, this is a good
no,
opportunity
this
for
would be
Mac
great
Jones.
for Mac, but I think he's actually too valuable for the Niners right now because Purdy is,
might start
hurt
this week.
again. Yeah, I mean, to me, Jameis.
I was going to say Jameis.
Jameis is. I would go Cousins, Jameis, and then I don't know, but I would make those calls, Coach.
Russ would be better too than Browning.
The challenging thing here is Cincinnati's not known for deal making.
No.
And Cincinnati's also not known for doing anything quickly. Think about how long it took for them to sign their own players and dragging stuff out. So the idea of them being able to go get a deal done with Atlanta for a guy like Kirk Cousins and get it done quickly, because even when you do the deal, you've got to get him in the building. You got to get him up. Now you can get a veteran guy up to speed fairly quickly, but each week that we go is a further week out. And if anything, Cincinnati tends to lean towards, we made a decision, we felt the decision was good at the time, we're going to see the decision through, and that's what it feels like with Browning is they've seen him win games in the past, and I'm sure organizationally they feel like he can continue to win games, and they're probably not going to make it.
They got Detroit and Green Bay next. Then they got I think the Steelers on a Thursday, so a short week. I mean, those are at least the next two games. They're losing no matter who they get.
I mean, listen, the Vikings defense is tough, and the Broncos defense was unbelievable yesterday. And credit to the Broncos. I thought the Bengals could keep it close. I thought they maybe even could win. They were one of my picks last week. They got annihilated yesterday. So I have been very surprised at how bad the passing offense has been.
Yeah.
With you know what I mean?
Penalties are bad. It's not just like.
It seems like the team also doesn't have any juice.
Yeah, Jamar said like we didn't want to play.
Yeah.
Jameis would be the fun option. Jameis would be exciting because he'll be throwing the touchdowns and interceptions.
No, but honestly, I bet for Chase, that would be you could deal with it.
Oh yeah.
You know what I
he
mean?
would those numbers would pop
Yeah.
with Jameis.
I like that.
And so-
Bengals have been outscored 76-13 in the last two games. From Duval to keep my name out of your mouth, we're talking about new beef in Jacksonville. Robert Saleh versus.
The Bengals' offense has allowed more points than it's scored.
Fad diets, outrageous